Director of Communications for WSOT TV and Sunnycrest Baptist Church. Thank you for joining us today as Grant County leadership shares important information pertaining to the current COVID-19 outbreak. Today's broadcast will be re-aired today on WSOT TV at 5:30 p.m. and again at 10:30 p.m. Also on Sunday, April the 12th at 10 a.m. and 5:30 p.m. on WSOT TV. It will also be made available for distribution online and throughout various local media outlets. Now, joining us today will be Grant County EMA Director Bob Jackson, Grant County Commissioner Mark Bardsley, Mayor Jess Allenball of the City of Marion, Dr. Brad Lindsay, Superintendent for Marion Community Schools, Dr. David Moore from the Grant County Health Department, as well as Sarah Evans from Marion General Hospital, Dr. Marty Bruce, and Kimberly Cox, Unit Shift Manager of the Critical Care Unit at Marion General Hospital. We will also be hearing from Teresa Campbell from St. Martin's Community Center on phone, as well as CEO Brian Owens from Cafe Valley. Up first, you will hear from Grant County EMA Director Bob Jackson.
Thank you, Angela. Once again, we would like to give you an update on where we are in our planning stage, what we've been able to accomplish thus far. And all along, we have been talking about ramping up, the cases ramping up. We have seen that. We continue to see that. We have been using this extra time that we've had to plan for that, and also to really to build our arsenal of PPE. So we are making progress there. And I'm always leery to start mentioning names because we have had so much help from the community, but really a couple standouts are Butterworth Industries. Frank and Susan Butterworth have just been phenomenal on what they've been able to accomplish in the realm of PPE for us, and that's truly been a godsend, and we appreciate that, all their efforts. The mayors from Marion, Gas City, Jonesboro, police chiefs, particularly Chief Angela Haley, Sheriff Nevels, have been absolutely outstanding in their support and what we've been able to do with those folks. So truly appreciate everybody's efforts. We are in a lot better position than we were a week or so ago. But that does not mean we are backing down on anything. We are full throttle, moving ahead with preparations, with planning, so that all of our first responders have as much as we can get them in the way of supplies. So really, the social distancing is working. However, we cannot let our guard down there. Our establishments, particularly our larger ones in the county, we just need to step that up a little bit. We cannot have people still gathering in large places. It is just going to prolong our efforts that we have to do, and we're not that comfortable. So we still have to maintain that, keep that up, and we will get through this together. So that is my report for this week. Thank you very much, Angela.
Thank you so much. And next we will hear from Mark Bardsley, Grant County Commissioner. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you to the church again for allowing us to use this medium to get to you out there. Want you to know that things are working with regard to the county. We have good news that's going on statewide. Of course, the peak had been projected to be somewhere around April the 19th, and because of the social distancing, because of the stay at home, we're actually seeing sometime toward the middle of next week, around April 14th, as the anticipated peak. And I want to say thanks to our frontline healthcare workers, to our public safety personnel for helping us through this crisis. They're continually out there on the front lines doing what needs to be done. Services for police, fire, emergency medical continue. And I want to also note that our stores, those who are providing essential food and medicines, things that we need, those things are working out great. Please continue as you go to the stores, as you go through the grocery area. Make sure that you get what you need, but please think about other folks that need those things too. Don't be taking extra. The supply chain is doing quite well now, and we're grateful for that. Again, on the governor's stay-at-home order extended through to April the 20th, please make sure that you're doing that social distancing. If you need to get out of the house, walk around the house. Just make sure that you have the opportunity to have some freedom as well as take care of yourself. I'd like to note that WOWO News Radio reported today that in a 4-week period of this COVID-19 crisis, more Hoosiers have died in a 4-week period than an entire 7-month flu season. So it's very important that we keep that distancing so that we are aware that this is serious business. We're not just doing this because somebody wants to mess with our lifestyles. So please keep that in mind as you have to be out. One of the things that we want to make sure when we come down off of this peak, I don't know if you've experienced it yourself or whether you have had a child or someone you've taken care of that has gone through an illness, maybe possibly the flu, and you go through feeling so bad, so terrible, and then you start feeling better. And you say, oh, I can do whatever I want to now, and you start doing what you do, and then all of a sudden there's a relapse. That's what we want to make sure we prevent as we get through the peak. We're still going to have a 3 weeks where we're going to have to do that social distancing, keeping our space. So please keep that in mind. It's not better right after the 14th. We still have a lot of way to go. So let's keep focusing on getting through the peak, and we thank you for your commitment. We thank you for staying that physical distancing, keeping away from others, and yet make sure that you take care of yourself. Stay safe, stay strong, and stay steady as we get through this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Bardsley, or should I say Chaplain Bardsley, man of many hats. Next, we will hear from Mayor of the City of Marion, Jess Allenbaugh. I welcome you to the platform.
Good afternoon, everyone. First, let me address something I'm getting a lot of emails on right now, text messages and even instant messages on my Facebook page, and that's churches asking about having services. If you stay in your cars and you keep more than 6 feet apart in your cars and you don't get out, we don't have an issue with that. This is an important Sunday coming up. We want people to be able to worship and love on the Lord. That's not an issue, but you have to, first and foremost, remember, keep your distance even in your cars. Do not get out, and we really don't want to see communion going on as usual, and even passing around the offering plate. If that's passed from vehicle to vehicle, that puts people at risk. So let's just use caution, worship the Lord. Not a problem with that. Just keep your distance. In fact, I just had a text come in while I was waiting to come on just now from a pastor asking that same question. And no, go ahead, have your services. Praise the Lord. He's going to get us through this. Social distancing, you're going to hear this from each one of us. Keep your distance. We know it's working. It's not fun. I don't enjoy it. I miss going out with the guys playing golf, but this is serious business, and we need to take it seriously. I'm not around my grandkids or my daughters, my sons, because we're taking this seriously in our household. We did that at City Hall. We shut that down a couple of weeks ago. I don't want employees around each other. I want to keep everybody away from harm's way. It's not rocket science here, folks. Just keep your distance for the next 2 to 3 weeks, 4 weeks probably at the most. But if you do that, we can certainly make this a better community in the long run because we'll reduce the number of infections and the deaths that are happening in Grant County. So please do that. You're going to hear the same stuff for weeks, but you've got to listen. When you go to the grocery, just get what you need. Don't overload. Get out and walk your neighborhoods. I live near Indiana Wesleyan, and people are out walking with this nice weather we've had. You can do that, but keep your distance when you come across others walking. Just keep your distance. You can talk from a distance. It's common sense. Put others first. And for those of you on social media who are complaining about the government, both local, state, and national, asking you to do these things, this isn't martial law. You don't do this because your government's asking you to do it. Do this social distancing and stay home because it's the right thing to do. Think of others, put others first in this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Allenbaugh. And next we invite Dr. Brad Lindsay, Superintendent of Marion Community Schools, to share.
Thank you, Angela. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? This coronavirus is wicked. It's evil. We are at war, but we are up for the fight because we're all in this together. We're united as a community, and we will not fear because the Lord is our light and our salvation. We will not fear because the Lord is the strength of our lives. Grant County, we love you. I want to communicate that school is closed through May. The governor has ordered that. So all school information is on websites. So check websites daily for that updated information. It's so important to stay connected with our schools and our schools with you, with our teachers, with our principals. Please stay connected. Food distribution for Marion Community Schools is Wednesdays, 4 to 6. You enter at Kendall. It's at Justice. And this is new for Marion Community Schools. At-home learning packets. More details will be coming directly to our families in our website. But Monday, April 13th, from 11 to 1 on the east side of Marion High School. If you would like to come through, similar to food distribution, and pick up at-home learning packets, it will be available to you. Grant County, we love you. We will not fear because the Lord is the strength of our lives.
Thank you, Dr. Lindsay. And next, we are going to hear from Dr. David Moore from the Grant County Health Department.
Hello, pleased to be with you today. Today we're going to take it in a slightly different direction. We've been hit with a once-in-a-lifetime, perhaps once-in-a-century epidemic here. We want to talk a little bit about what is that organism that causes that to occur. How do people get sick, and then what do we do about this? This is caused by a virus. There are several ways that the body can get ill. One of them is with infection. The other is with inflammation. With infections, it may be a viral infection or a bacterial infection. Those are similar in terms of how they make us sick, but very different in terms of how we treat them. The bacterial infection, we have antibiotics that can destroy them. The viral infections, we have very few treatments for it. They get into the body sometimes by slamming through the system and creating illnesses that way. They may just kind of use some of the body mechanisms to get in. From that, the body has defenses against those sort of things. It has just general immunity that occurs. And for the most things that occur, that's adequate. For some things that come, they can overwhelm that. And the body, when that occurs, tries to build up immunity antibodies so that the next time it meets it, it attacks it and can destroy that. That's very hard for the body to do. So most things it tries to just keep away from that. The immunity can come by getting an introduction to that, say a vaccination that introduces a small amount. The body builds a resistance to that, and it holds on to that memory for the next time it occurs when it's there. We can get passive immunity by giving from blood from somebody who's faced that infection. They build antibodies against it, and we can give that, and it will go through the body and destroy that. Once those are gone, there's no more defenses in the body. So the best resistance to that is something that can stay with you and continue to fight it. But in the meantime, a passive immunity may occur. The way these organisms create illnesses in the body is that in the part of their metabolism, they release things that are damaging and hurtful to the body. There are billions of bacteria and viruses within the body. Most of them don't secrete anything that's hurtful. Those that we call pathogenic secrete something in the terms of their living that is harmful and damaging to the body. And so this is what we build immunity to. So that when we have, for example, a flu season, the scientists determine what do we think the strains that are going to come around this year are, and try to build something that will give you that little boost and build up your immunity so that when your body meets it, it's ready to fight it. Some of the virus, some of the bacteria, some of the vaccinations we have are similar to one another, and when a bug comes in, if the body recognizes, maybe not be exactly it, but it's close enough that the body can hold it in check while it builds up immunity to do that. And so we get, if they're familiar infections, we have some sort of cousin immunity to it. Every now and then something will come along that the body doesn't recognize at all, and it doesn't have resistance to that. It has to build it, and it takes time to build up that resistance to it. And so this thing that has come out of China is something that our immune system has not met before. So when it hits each body, we have no ability to fight it initially. Eventually, the body will build up a resistance to it. It'll build up those immunities and go along with it. But in the meantime, the person may get increasingly sick. Those who already have challenges and health illnesses, it doesn't take very much before they reach a point where their body is in trouble. So we look at, in this case, the elderly or those who have coexisting conditions. When this begins to secrete those poisons in the body, we have nothing to fight that with. And so we want to try to be ready with those at-risk populations, either to try to keep them from getting it or to come at them very quickly to do it. In this case, with the COVID virus, one of the things that it does is that the body, when it goes to fight it, releases antibodies and white cells that attack the virus, but it also does collateral damage within the body. And so steroids try to quiet that down. But in the meantime, this can come very quickly and can overwhelm. So that in that case where it attacks the lungs, using a respirator, giving oxygen, if that's enough, but using a respirator to help to build that up while the body can build up that immunity to begin to fight it. And so those are the things that's why this is so devastating to us. It's brand new to us, and we don't have the ability to fight it. One of the things that's been important is trying to keep people at risk away, and maybe we can lower it. There are some treatments that may be coming along that will make a difference. One of the things that we've been asking is, where is it in the community? Can we test and can we find out? In Indiana and in the nation, there's a shortage of the things necessary to do that testing. And so that we've been trying to limit it to those who are most at risk, those whose bodies are compromised or who have gotten sick. Those are at risk, so we do the testing for those. We're trying to ramp up all over the country with testing so that we could know, where did Uncle Joe pick up that infection? Where else? Is there anybody who's been around him who's been strong and they have gotten the virus, but they haven't gotten debilitated because of it, and that potentially can pass that along? So that testing is an important part of what's going on, but unfortunately we have that limited. We're looking to see we hear in the news that there's a rapid test that gives a quick turnaround. That'll let us know that, yes, you're sick, but it probably isn't COVID that's doing it, and we don't anticipate that potential very quickly overcoming the immune system or having to keep you away from Uncle Joe because Uncle Joe may be older and have other things that are going on. So we're learning more and more about this condition. We want to understand that our medical community is going to learn. We're going to get better at treating and better at taking care of those as we go along. In the meantime, the most important thing that you could do is social distancing. Let's limit the number of people to get them. People still may get infected anyway, but if they get so many of them coming, that they overwhelm our system and our ability to take care of them. And your part is to do the social distancing, do the physical distancing, stay connected with one another. We'll get through this together. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Moore. And next, we'd like to invite Sarah Evans from Marion General Hospital to speak.
Thank you. As she said, I'm Sarah Evans with Marion General Hospital. Just wanted to provide a few updates as to how we have been managing at the hospital. And to date, we have collected approximately 250 specimens for COVID testing, and the majority of those, around 82%, have been in our outpatient population. Currently, we only have 14% of those that are waiting for test results. All others have been resulted at this time, and we're happy to share that the turnaround time for test results is decreasing as more availability has become available throughout the state for testing laboratories. We do want to continue to remind the community of our respiratory call center that we've discussed on all of our Informacasts, but really to just say that if you're experiencing symptoms or are concerned about a potential exposure to a COVID patient, to call that number, and again, that number is 765-660-6999, and that will get you to our medical professionals who can evaluate over the phone the next steps for you to take for consideration of testing or treatment. We do want to remind the community that we are still continuing to see a shortage in blood product supply, and so the next opportunity to participate in a blood donation with Marion General Hospital, Meyer, and our South Bend Medical Foundation will be on Monday, April 27th from 1 to 6 p.m. We will have a donation location in the Meyer parking lot, and we appreciate their sponsorship of that location so that we can be more visible. Full details are available on our Facebook page as to how to sign up for a donation time. And again, Dr. Moore talked a little bit about the disease process that we're seeing with this virus and treatment, and so it is my pleasure to introduce a couple of my colleagues to you today that will be joining with us. First, you're going to be greeted by Dr. Marty Bruce, who is our Chief of Primary Care at the hospital, and he's going to talk about what they're seeing in the outpatient clinics, a little bit of the signs and symptoms they're looking for, questions you may experience during a call, and then also treatment at home. You will then be followed with Kimberly Cox, who is our unit shift manager for day shift on our intensive care or critical care unit, and she is one of our excellent registered nurses who's taking care of patients that have been hospitalized. So I'm happy to introduce them to you today. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Marty Bruce, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you today. What I'd like to speak to is what is it you should do if you're currently feeling ill, or if in the next few weeks you notice that you've developed an illness. Even if the symptoms are minor, I would certainly suggest that you note those symptoms, and the first thing is to call your doctor's office. Don't go into the urgent care, don't go straight into your doctor's office, but call first and discuss your symptoms with the staff there. Certainly in this time of a bit of crisis, we're a lot more liberal with what we can do for you by phone and get accomplished for you. And that's certainly the best scenario if we can do that, because if you don't have to leave your home and if you don't have to come to a place where sick people gather, this is going to certainly be in your best interest. But in certain instances, we're certainly going to want to see you and see if we can better assess what's going on. And our first question we're answering is, does this sound like a COVID-19 infection, or might there be an alternative diagnosis like a strep throat or an ear infection or even bronchitis? In those instances, we'll do the evaluation, and if it seems like you have one of these other situations going on, great. We can treat that and we can get you back home and safe. But if you have a COVID-19 infection, or at least symptoms that are suggestive of that, there's a couple additional decision points we're going to need to make. So what might this look like? This might be somebody that's running a fever, is having a cough and some shortness of breath. It may be somebody that doesn't feel all that terrible beyond a sniffle, but has a very low oxygen level in their blood. There's certainly many different ways that we're noticing that this presents, but the respiratory symptoms and the fever seem to be very prominent. So if we think you have a COVID-19 infection, our next question is going to be, is this person sick enough to warrant hospitalization, or is this somebody that can be safely managed at home? If you need to go to the hospital, then that's something that will require testing for the COVID-19 virus, and we'll get you to the right level of care in the hospital for your recovery. But if you are like most people, your infection is something that can likely be managed at home. You will be prescribed symptomatic meds to deal with your cough, to deal with your fever, the congestion, all the various symptoms that can come along with this. But the key element is, if you are somebody that's going to recover at home, which is 80 to 90% of the people with this infection, it's all about not having you spread your infection to other people while your body defeats this virus and you get well. And that really leads us to this question of home quarantine. If your doctor asks you to quarantine at home, that has a very specific meaning. That means go home, go to a sick room, and don't come out unless you need additional medical care. This means you should be wearing a mask when you're in contact with other members of your family, and you should limit contact with your family members and even the family pets. For areas that might have to be commonly shared, such as a bathroom, the person with the infection should be disinfecting the bathroom when they leave. And when it comes time for meals, the person with the infection should also be taking their meals alone if possible. It really is important to limit the spread of this, and it's everybody's duty to manage their symptoms as best they can safely away from other people. Now, in the course of this illness, some people do get sicker at home, and your doctor is going to want to know if you are feeling worse instead of better. That's sometimes a reason for reevaluation and even a reason for hospitalization. Many people with this illness won't really get substantially ill until they're in the second week of the illness. If you are somebody quarantining at home and you get better, it is safe for you to return to the outside world after you've had 72 hours of no fever off of any medicine that could reduce the fever, about 72 hours of symptom improvement, and be at least 7 days after the onset of your symptoms. At that point, people can resume activities, but we still would suggest very good hand hygiene, covering your cough because the cough can persist a little longer, and making sure you're wearing a mask when you're out in a public setting. I think if we do all of these things, your doctor can really manage your health, but in this particular crisis, you have a huge role in helping to manage the well-being of the community, of your families, your neighbors, and your friends by keeping yourself sequestered at home, safely away from the ability to spread that virus. Thank you for your time.
Good afternoon. We've cared for several positive COVID-19 patients at Marion General Hospital. Those patients have needed varying levels of care to manage their symptoms. We've had patients requiring oxygen via nasal cannula up to ventilator management. We've treated patients that have required our highest level of support and have successfully recovered and discharged them home. We've cared for patients. The care of these patients does require additional personal protective equipment, stress, and some risk for the nursing staff. I'd like to say that we are very appreciative of all the outpouring of love and support that the community has provided to us. The meals, prayer vigils, and gifts, that has really lifted our spirits during this difficult time. Thank you.
Thank you, Kimberly. And next, we will be joined by a live phone call. You will be hearing from Teresa Campbell from the St. Martin's Community Center. And so we're going to bring Teresa on to the update now. Teresa, are you with us?
I am. Thank you for asking me.
Thank you for joining us today. I understand that St. Martin Community Center is quite busy, that you are offering food distribution, and you are in need of some support from the community. Would you like to share more with us?
Yes, I would. St. Martin's primary goal is to continue to feed families who are hungry, and that's something we do and have done for many, many years. This is a new challenge for us in that we are continuing to make the hot meals. We're packaging those, and then we're distributing out in our parking lot right directly to the people that need it the most. So we have our volunteers here. The few that we have, we are keeping a small group so that we can manage, safely to prevent infection. We're using all precautions that we can do to keep that from happening. We are right there on the front lines meeting the people. The families that we serve are those who are very marginal on a good day. They are homeless. They have addiction issues. They are underemployed, unemployed, anyone you can think of, a lot of children. We just, now things are even harder for them, because many do not understand this whole process, and I'll hear them say, well, how much longer? How much longer? And we just try to offer them reassurance, and we're, praying with them and giving them hope. They are very happy to be able to get, continue to get their meal that they've become accustomed to getting. They're very grateful. The families are so grateful. They tell us they know that we don't have to be doing this, and that it's, puts the volunteers at risk doing it, but it's what we're called to do, and we're so glad that we can continue to feed the families. Right now, our numbers each day, they started out maybe 65 people for breakfast and 80 for lunch. Now we're over 300 meals per day. Along with that hot meal, anyone can get it. Anyone can come here and receive a hot meal. They're in to-go or takeaway containers. That's a need we have. We need more of those new containers to be able to provide the meal. So they say they get a salad or a soup or, a hot meal, they have to be appropriately placed in those disposable containers so that people can take them away. So we're teaching safe distancing, and it's on the days as it's going, they're more understanding, that we need to be really careful about spreading infection. This group that we serve are, they're most often ill, have secondary illness that sometimes are treated, sometimes not. So they are very much at risk for contracting the virus. Their mood is good. They're happy. They are we actually have a takeaway food pantry once a week. Last week we did that on Friday, and we were gifted a big bin of balls and from Dollar General distribution, and the people were it was a happy time. They all got balls to take home to their kids. It was just trying to make something good out of a bad situation. We were talking earlier about needs that we have, and we always need milk. We always need bread, but those are sometimes difficult to get in, what's happening today at the grocers. So like yesterday we called and we worked up 20 gallons of bread, 20 gallons of milk, and that really helped to have funds to be able to do that. So that's another need that we have. We had spoken throughout with the Chronicle Tribune, and we received really a great outpouring of help. Our thrift store is closed at this point, has been for about 4 weeks. So this is really a need as far as a monetary assistance. Dawn Brown from the Community Foundation and Alicia Hazelwood for United Way have been really helpful and very just supportive of us as kind of caregivers in the community. And we are just most grateful for everything that we're receiving from the community and just the support and phone calls of, hey, we know what you're doing, and we just thank you for that. We feel it, and I want to thank the community for that.
Teresa, one more time, can you please share with us if someone is interested in donating or volunteering, how can they get in touch with you?
Yes, you can donate on our website at stmartincenter.com. It's a safe donation process through Network for Doing Good. You can also send a check. We are really limiting volunteers. So we only have just a small group of 8 people that are doing this every day. And although we would love to say, hey, we would love to have you come and be a volunteer, for the safety of the people that we're feeding, if we get sick, the center will go down and they will not be able to get fed their meals that they're used to. So it's imperative that we try to stay as healthy as possible. So after this is all said and done, we would love to have volunteers come help.
So one other question for you then, as you work to meet the need with those 300 plus meals a day, for those who just may be wanting just a little inside information, can you share with us some of the precautions that you are taking to keep people safe through your efforts?
Yes, we always on any day practice infection control and sanitation processes, since we are supervised through the Indiana Department of Health. And we've had many visits here from our county health inspector, not just inspect, but just offer encouragement to us. He's looked at our processes. He says we can do more than what we are doing. We are masked. We are gloved. We have our aprons on. When we're wearing masks at all times, inside and outside. When we see the people, we are maintaining that social distance. We sanitize everything. We are bleaching everything, even bleaching with bleach water off our porch, our door handles, our little grocery carts we carry food in and out get sprayed before they're used again. We are setting the meals on the table and stepping back, and then the next person in the line comes up and picks that up and moves away. So we don't touch anything that the people are touching. And of course we're practicing hand washing. That's so imperative at this time to make sure that with everybody that you wash your hands when you are in contact with any surface. And that's kind of a new concept for many people that they just go on about their day. But if you're touching door handles, if you're getting gas with a pump, if you're using a keypad anywhere, your ATM or whatever, you need to wash your hands or use sanitizer as soon as possible, keeping your hands away from your face and mouth. These are all the precautions that we're using, and we're very diligent, and that's too part of the reason why I'm just only allowing just a few people to come here. So our agreement is the people that are here helping is we help, then we go home, and we isolate ourselves from the rest of the day till we come in again the next day.
Well, Teresa, I want to thank you for your efforts and everyone involved in helping to meet the needs of our community, and stay safe and keep up the good work. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you very much for asking me.
Thank you. And next, we had a moment to speak with Cafe Valley CEO Brian Owens earlier, and this is what he had to say.
Cafe Valley has received recently public scrutiny for continuing to operate during the coronavirus outbreak. Can you please speak to the importance of food manufacturers like Cafe Valley to remain operational per Homeland Security's direction during this unprecedented time?
Sure, Angela, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. Cafe Valley has been deemed an essential business by both federal and state guidelines in both of the locations where we operate, both Arizona and Indiana. We make a number of different foods for our customers, from more indulgent things like muffins and cakes to sandwich carriers like croissants. So we're providing food to the world and to the nation, and we need healthy employees to do that. So we want to keep operating and doing our job in taking care of the community. I'm sure you've seen, people are stocking up and spending a lot of money in the grocery stores now. It's much more challenging for people to actually eat out, even if they're going through drive-thrus. So we continue to try to provide food for the world, and that's what we're doing as an essential business.
Can you please speak to some of the precautions that Cafe Valley has put into place to keep employees as well as customers safe during this outbreak?
Sure. Thanks for asking. Yeah, we have been doing screening of our employees as they come into the building for almost 4 weeks now, so we were pretty far out ahead of it. So there's a questionnaire that asks if there are certain risk factors that somebody would have, like a temperature. We're also taking people's temperatures now. Once we could get our hands on thermometers, we were able to do that. We are practicing social distancing wherever possible within the bakery. Certainly as we come and go from the bakery, as we enter and exit, we're doing social distancing. There's an awful lot of hand washing that's going on and sanitizers being used. We just today ordered 30,000 disposable masks, which will be here in a couple of weeks. So we'll be giving those to our employees. We're encouraging our team members to wear bandanas so that they can wear masks to protect themselves when they're talking. And one of the nice things about our facility, frankly, is it is cleanable, and we clean it every single day, top to bottom. So even if there are germs being spread, and certainly there are occasionally, we are cleaning our facility routinely every day. So we're lucky in that sense, unlike a lot of manufacturing operations who aren't set up for routine sanitation. We are as a food facility.
Can you also speak to us a little bit about, during this time when a lot of people are being laid off work, unemployment numbers are increasing. I understand Cafe Valley is continuing to hire. Can you speak to us a little bit about the employment opportunities that Cafe Valley is offering?
Yes, we are, because we're an essential business and because we're continuing to operate, we need healthy employees. We are down because many people are scared and they've taken short leaves of absence, 2-week leaves of absences, because we're not forcing anyone who's uncomfortable to come to work. And we're protecting those that are taking these leaves of absences with their jobs. But in the meantime, demand is continuing to go up. Some of our retailers like Aldi in particular and Walmart, folks like that, really need product, and we're having trouble fulfilling those orders. So we need people across our entire facility. We have good paying jobs, we have benefits, and these include jobs like maintenance people, where you're talking about jobs that are paying in the mid to high 20s, supervisors, operators and leads who make in the high teens, as well as sort of entry-level production people. So if you don't have experience, but you've been working in a restaurant that has laid you off, please come and apply with us. We have great paying jobs. It's a great culture, and there are a lot of really fantastic people that work there. So there's also other opportunities, warehouse, forklift drivers, things like that. So across the entire facility, we have opportunities, and we are looking for people. We do open interviews every Wednesday. So if you need a job, Wednesday's a great day to come see us. We're even staggering how we do our orientation so that we don't have too many people in the facility at one time, so that we can maintain safe practices within the bakery.
Cafe Valley is one of the larger employers here in Grant County, Indiana, so we're very thankful to have Cafe Valley here. Can you speak to us just a little bit about the risk of maybe some of the public shaming that some businesses like Cafe Valley and others that may have been receiving on social networks, etc.?
Sure.
Just people, they're concerned. I know this is a time of fear for some people and uncertainty, and people always, they don't always react in the most positive light, so they may go a little more on the critical side. Can you speak to us a little bit about the risk of public shaming?
Yeah, so I'll be completely transparent and honest. We had a positive COVID in our facility, COVID case about 10 days ago. It was somebody who was not in the facility long that day, but we followed all of our protocols and, informed all of the people that were near him or had any indirect contact with this individual. And so those are a lot of the folks who are taking 2-week leaves of absence just to let things die down. But the problem is there's so much misinformation about it. So people are scared, and I completely understand that's very normal reaction. But the public shaming where people are saying, it's infested with COVID, those types of misinformation posts on Facebook are frankly hindering our ability to do our essential job, which is to make food for the world. So, in the end, we're trying to do that, take care of our employees, not put them at high risk. But be honest if we ever have an issue. I mean, my belief is very strongly that COVID-19 is not a Cafe Valley problem or a Grant County or an Indiana problem. It's a national and world pandemic problem. And so it's going to hit. You're going to know people that are going to have it. And the sooner we realize that and take the right precautions so that we're protecting people, the better off we're going to be. So we continue to encourage our employees when they're not working to practice social distancing, to let us know if they feel sick, if they have anybody at home that's sick. And so we make assumptions all the time that somebody may have been exposed, and as a result, we're taking every precaution. At the end of the day, the most important thing to us is the health and safety of our employees. And we don't want them scared, but we also don't want misinformation to inform actions that really aren't productive and helpful for the rest of the community.
Brian Owen, CEO of Cafe Valley, I thank you so much for taking time out of your very busy schedule to share with us some very important information, and stay safe.
Thank you. Stay safe as well. Thank you for the time.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
As we conclude today's community update, I would like to remind you that it will be rebroadcast later today, Wednesday, April the 8th at 5:30 p.m. and again at 10:30 p.m. here on WSOT TV. It will also be rebroadcast on Sunday, the 12th of April at 10 a.m. and 5:30 p.m. here on WSOT TV. It will also be made available for distribution through online outlets as well as through local media. And we now return to our regularly scheduled programming. Thanks for watching.